Welcome to Keep Trucking Personal, where we invite you to explore the heart and soul of our company, Kivi Brothers Trucking. Through engaging storytelling, insightful market updates, and vibrant energy, our podcast reflects our culture, values, and achievements. Whether you're a team member or industry enthusiast, join us to build connections, foster growth, and inspire excellence. Discover why we're more than just a company. We're a community, a catalyst for positive change, and a home for those aspiring to be part of something extraordinary. The pre-trip is complete and engines ready. We're set to hit the road on the Keep Trucking Personal podcast. Let's go.
Welcome to Keep Trucking Personal. My name is Tyler Kivi and I'm your host. Today I have Derek Kivi, a common guest of the Keep Trucking Personal podcast. Derek, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Definitely, like we were just talking earlier, but this is kind of what we consider the new year. This beginning part of the year after that first half week is kind of put to rest. It's really hard on those weeks. You're really eager to get going, and then it's just facilities are still closed and this and that. And then moving forward now, we're back into the new year, full steam ahead. It's kind of been some crazy weather across the whole country. You know, I know speaking for Kentucky, we've got enough snow where the school has been closed all week. Not something that I'm used to. Growing up in Minnesota, it was kind of, snow was just your everyday friend. You didn't really get to shut down a school. We've had no school all week. Parking lots are all iced over. We kind of had a mix of snow, ice, everything. And that's just here. I think it's kind of been peppering the central part of the country, out eastern seaboard, even down into Texas now.
Yeah, definitely some crazy weather. We didn't have snow. We had snow and then it got warm and it all melted, and then we didn't have snow for the longest time. And now yesterday we just got snow again, so it's white here once again.
Yeah, I saw some pictures.
We didn't get a lot. We just got like an inch, so really nothing to do to really make any significant measures here for us anyway. But yeah, the rest of the country, you know, getting 6 inches or up to a foot, or the ice is what's really bad. You know, the ice is what kind of takes the fun out of anything. When you get ice, it's so dangerous because you have no control and you can't move and you can't do nothing. It's so slippery. And a lot of those southern states don't have the capabilities such as, you know, like we do in Minnesota. If we get ice, usually in a matter of a few hours, the roads get cleared, they spread salt, and you're back in action. Well, down south, they don't have salt sheds, and
they're not beefed up for it.
Like that. Yeah, so it really debilitates the southern states and shuts them down for days or until the sun comes back out and melts it.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Definitely appreciate all our drivers being extra cautious and safe. You know, that's the number one takeaway when you get into this inclement weather is make sure you do it right, make sure you do it safely. You know, not pushing the envelope. It is so easy sometimes to try to grab that extra little bit, or, you know, skirt on the edge of, is it safe or not? And just trying to be extra cautious. We want to make it through this winter with everyone being safe and having the right mindset.
And just slowing down in these conditions. Speed is what creates most of the accidents in this weather, and just slow down. Yeah. Take your time. Appointments can be reset. Nobody's going to get mad at you. We're not going to hold it against you. We're not going to put it against the driver's scorecard because you were late because you had to slow down in inclement weather. We'd rather have you get there safe versus putting it out into the rhubarb or potentially hurting yourself or somebody else.
Right. Yep. Number one thing. Well, looking into 2025, other years have been harder to get used to that change. Sometimes you end up writing or typing the wrong year. For me, 2025 is very easy to be eager about. What do you look forward to? What are you most eager to see happen this year in 2025? And what are some of the things maybe you have insight to that, or maybe just gut feeling, intuition that you think is going to play out this year?
Well, I can say I haven't made a mistake writing the date down on something yet, which usually seems to be a common factor for me every year. So I'm guessing that says that I'm really ready for 2025.
Yeah.
It's just like natural 2025, you know, and everybody's optimistic that the country's going to rebound and you're going to start to see things pick back up. So I think that's the most, you know, hopeful thing that everybody's hoping for, because whether you're in trucking or whatever industry you're in, everything is just slowed down a notch or two, or in some cases, dang near shut down. Yeah. So everybody's extremely hopeful and really just truly wishing that things will pick up and we can kind of get back to some normalcy here. Again, there's no telling when or if, I'm not trying to get into political reasons either, but there's a lot of things leading towards we should move in the right direction. Even just what's going on with the fires out in California. I mean, how devastating for them, but what that's wiping out infrastructure wise is unbelievable. And I don't know what that's going to shape up as far as
rebuilding
freight just to rebuild that. But holy man, I mean, you watch the news at night and it just makes you cringe when you see, as far as you can see, it's level, burnt to nothing. And that's going to take a blink of an eye
and it goes quick too.
Yeah. Unbelievable. So, thoughts and prayers for all them people out there, or if anybody's got family out there, and hopefully they can get it contained. But when I had seen last night, they said it was 0% contained and more winds coming next week. So it's scary. It's crazy.
Yep. I get what you're saying though. These type of situations are no different than a hurricane down in the Southeast when the aftermath comes through and they start to reassess. Especially in the flatbed market, you start to see an influx of OSB and building products and just standard lumber to get them back their feet on the ground again and rebuild. Crazy to see what it's just this type of year is always so unpredictable. I mean, to consider what we just talked about earlier, ice storms and snow in Texas and snow and everywhere from, Kentucky to eastern part of the country is snow, ice, cold, frigid, and then you go to the other side and it's burning.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a roller coaster, a whiplash, almost like the past few years have been when you think of freight, a little bit of back and forth, not what to expect. So you think though that the optimism is there, the freight market's going to rebound, excluding, kind of the natural disaster side of it?
Yeah, I really do. I think, there's a lot of stuff that is slated to happen. And I think there was a lot of stuff that was kind of hinging on where things went politically. And I think there's going to be a good rebound this year. Again, now am I a fortune teller? No, but just from the people and in the industries and everybody that you talk to, everybody's very, it's pointing in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's obviously very new in the new year to say that the trend is already up. There's an uptick, but when you read a lot of the articles and try to follow some of the statistics, right? Every statistic can be swayed whichever way they want it to go, but they all seem to be kind of sharing the same insight. There happens to be more freight moving through the network. Kind of natural, right? Just as a new year gets fired back up, I like to tell people everything is kind of like a locomotive or a flywheel. It takes a little bit to get turning right after these holidays. Everything kind of went to idle, and now everybody's kind of getting those gears turning, getting things moving, and getting up to full production again. So obviously there's some natural growth that comes with the freight volumes, but a little bit higher than predicted. And hopefully that's, like you said, the indicators of what's coming, not only politically and where things are headed there, but just every industry and the freight volumes and all the sectors that we serve are kind of looking up for 2025, which is good. I mean, everybody, if you're not familiar with the trucking industry and you're and maybe first time listening to this, we're kind of hopefully quote unquote on the heels of almost 3-year freight recession. It hasn't been, COVID really spiked everything and really the highest that it might ever be for trucking. And now, it dropped and we're in that valley. And, last year we said the same thing, it's going to climb out, but now we're starting to see some signs that it's actually here. So what does that mean for your optimism? What do you think, and what are you excited to see from that?
Ultimately, just to get some normalcy and get some of the trucking rates where it should be and some of the volume back to what it was, prior to even the COVID, prior to that stuff, and just kind of more normalcy. Fleets across the board in trucking have been pinching every penny they can just to remain in the game and be here to exist for when this picks back up. Typically that's all you do is you make hay when the sun shines and save all you can. So when you do hit the next freight recession, you can weather the storm. And it's been a long 3 years. And unfortunately, there's many carriers out there that couldn't weather the storm and have fallen off. And it's it's kind of the way the cookie crumbles in this industry. It builds back up and you get many carriers in the game, and pretty soon it floods the market, and recession hits, you lose a bunch of carriers, and then it all starts over slowly but surely. So hopefully it picks back up and we start to see some normalcy in that respect, not only just for, revenue wise, just to get freight rates back to kind of where they should be. We took a lot of, the trucking industry anyway, took a lot of increase hits from that COVID era, and it's kind of really remained at those levels, and when I say that, I mean truck prices, the new trucks, the new equipment, everything jumped up, and it jumped up drastically, in the tens, 20s, $30,000 per piece of equipment, and everything slowed down, but those prices only came back down $2,000 or $5,000. They never really adjusted back to where we were. So just the sheer cost of the equipment, the cost of the parts, the labor costs, what labor costs were prior to when COVID and everybody was fighting for workers. Well, nothing's really come back down because everybody started paying everybody such high wages, which I'm not opposed to none of that, but this is where we are. And it's very tough being a trucking company to make any profitability at all, let alone just pay your bills when you have such high costs.
Yeah, that is a unique spot to be in. Like you said, the equipment acquisitions now are so high, and then the freight rates are being squeezed in the downward direction. It makes it a perfect storm, like you said, and many carriers, sometimes may throw their hands up and say, why is this, why are we participating in this game where we're the one pinched? We have all the liability. When you think about the in-between, which I want to talk about a little bit later on safety, but yeah, we weather all of that. We're trying to keep the new equipment, keep the drivers in the right equipment, everything to do the job safely and properly. And then, your customers, and we've talked about this before, but they can sometimes turn a blind eye and say, well, we're not so worried about the loyalty of how you took care of us then and now. We just want cheapest price. But I'm also excited for 2025, as I've talked before, is some of these carrier or shippers are partnering with carriers, and they're really paying attention to that aspect of they took care of us, we took care of them. It's mutual. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to, completely let the floor drop out, because like you said, when somebody does disappear or this does happen, it doesn't work out for that shipper, and they're scrambling, and then their customers are going, what's going on? Why would I even partner with you? So making sure your relationships are in this industry cemented in strong, and that's something we're definitely, it's been on our sites, for, like I said, since this COVID bubble burst. Now we're excited to see it rebound, and hopefully all that energy we've put into relationships continues with that upward momentum.
Yeah, and it's definitely, it really is exciting to see the relationships that a lot of these big shippers have actually put value into and said, you know what, we're going to stick by you. Let's work through this. We realize, rates got to come down. We're not going to completely just beat you into nothing and beat you out of business. But at the same time, we've got to come down some because we've got obligations and everybody's lowering their prices. And in a lot of these cases, they've come down, but they didn't beat you down to nothing. And then sometimes would meet you in the middle or say, okay, can we average out here to be able to make their numbers look better, but at the same time, not totally devastate us carriers. And then saying too, okay, we know things are going to change for next year. Let's look at giving you an increase for here, but let's stabilize, lock you in for your freight volume. And it's huge. And I think I've never really seen that many customers kind of partner up and want to
get a mutual benefit at that point.
Yeah. Well, everybody got burned in COVID. So now they're saying, okay, let's find our true trusted partners. Let's work together, and let's not come back into a COVID thing where all of a sudden now we're paying spot market rates to move this freight because all our carriers dropped us and moved to the spot market stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You can only hedge that so much, and then it's going to catch up to them. And now, like you said, they're putting value in it. And it is interesting when you think of like the convoy era and the Uber Freight era, and the Uber Freight and stuff's still around, but they really tried to leverage technology to almost say, we don't need relationships, just build the freight in a system and we'll source carrier partners, blah, 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 blah. Well, didn't work out for Convoy. And it's interesting, how you would think simplistically it's A to B, put it into a system and somebody will haul it. But think of how many customers we have where their freight is unique. It takes the right type of setup. It takes the right mindset on how to secure it just for them to ship it. You know what I mean? And we in the open deck haul a lot of unique stuff. So you can't just have randos coming in and grabbing their freight. They want consistency. They want it professional. And then they have their own safety standard. So if we show up and do it safe and we do it over and over, they're happy. But somebody random comes in and they're kind of going, this isn't the routine. Well,
yeah,
they're trying to be safe.
Exactly. And I mean, nothing against, the immigrants that have come into the country, but you also, I hear more and more, we want all your drivers to speak English, and it's come to that. So like I say, I got no bone to pick with the stuff, but at the same time, when they're asking you, can your driver speak English? And we say, yeah, all that's good. So that's an issue, and I've seen it firsthand where they're trying to say, where do you want this put on your trailer? The guy can't speak the same language. You're trying to point out, and everybody just kind of stands there like deer in the headlights. Well,
yeah. And then damage usually is a result because something's not secured right, or
they get loaded improperly.
Shippers, like you said, that standard, they're setting their own standard and expectations, and it starts to become relationship driven. Who can they trust? Where's the loyalty? Mm-hmm. And so I think it's an important thing to remind every driver in this industry, specifically our drivers, but every driver in this industry, it may seem like we talk about all the time, you're a cog in the wheel, but you are not. Like, how many times have we had places where we ship hundreds, if not thousands of loads a year, and all it takes is one instance with an upset driver or incident on site or any of that, and we hear about it. Mm-hmm. Like nothing goes unnoticed. That's how high level these shippers are paying attention to everything, making sure that, hey, we want to partner with you, like we said earlier, mutual benefit, but we have expectations for every single load. There's not just you get to roll in here and cause a scene and get out of there. We have to clean it up no matter what happens.
Yeah, and whether it's the shipping person that lines up the truck shows up, the people that are on the floor go out and load it, and they're the ones that run into the issues. So then it just goes up the flagpole, and pretty soon you got everybody within the company. What happened? What'd you do? What's going on with this truck? So people want to make sure they've got their bases covered as well, because they've got skin in the game. So the just send me a truck, I don't care what it is stuff is kind of
the relationships are paramount. I feel like COVID, when it happened, it brought us, the industry, to a mindset of we can advance so fast in technology that we don't need the people side of it. We can just eliminate this and eliminate that. And there's still a tech burst that's coming through that's really pro, automation. And I think there's a place for it in certain spots, certain sectors of transportation, but
not flatbed.
Not what we do right now, not the customized job site deliveries and the custom freight and securing it and monitoring it and all of the things that come with it.
All the bits and pieces that you hear about, read about, I, have spent countless times trying to wrap my head around how could this ever be automated, and I can't even come close to thinking of a way to have it automated in the side of the industry we are now. Dry vans and different things like that, yeah, that's doable, but like you say, with us and job site deliveries and things changing, it's impossible, and I don't know that it's ever going to change.
A lot of the stuff we deliver gets hooked to the end of a crane and lifted right off our trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Those are custom deliveries, and I know obviously we're not the only ones that do that, but yeah, we are the last, I believe, to touch that automation level. So yeah, there's a lot of optimism specifically at our company. We're excited for this year. We've done some operations changes within our dispatch for flatbed, and we've created a pod group. And for those of you that have not heard about our pods, or what we're doing is we've taken our flatbed division and separated it into pods. And these pods are small groups of 4 people. And these 4 people are responsible for a set of trucks and drivers. And for those trucks and drivers, their job is to follow them cradle to grave. We are trying to forge relationships. We don't want to just talk about it. We want to make sure that we live it. And we realize that if we give the driver the same 4 people, no matter what that situation is, whether it's planning, whether it's your home time, whether it's maintenance. Like, you have a team that there will always be someone able to help you. And that we kicked off the beginning of January 6th, the beginning of what we call the new year. The New Year's Day that's not as what we're excited about for operations. When we hit the 6th, we were ready to get boots on the ground and get everything cranked up. So big changes in the operations with the pods, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie. We've created all these relationships, and we want to forge them and make sure that our drivers are taken care of and that they hear from somebody promptly. We know that when there was a single point of contact only, the concept in theory was right. There's always somebody to take care of you, but when they were overwhelmed or their phone calls were coming, they couldn't promptly take care of the situation. So now you call into your number as a driver, you have 4 people that can answer the phone at any minute, and they're there to take care of you. Big change, super excited about it. That's just one of the small pieces that we as a company are doing to make sure that we follow what we say. We do what we say what we're going to do, and that's to keep trucking personal and really forge that. One of the things that I wanted to remind everyone, and once again, you don't have to be a Kivi driver, but there's some things that we see, and we want to make sure that complacency doesn't set in. I think that's the hardest thing in trucking to combat. And obviously weather, being complacent and following speed, like you said, you can't come bursting into a snowstorm and keep boogieing along like you were earlier just because you did it for year after year after year. Complacency gets you caught up. Don't forget to do those things as we talk about in specifics, like reading your permits thoroughly, top down, making sure all of those match what you're hauling, what you're doing, because the DOT right now feels like they're fired up. They have new quotas and they're starting fresh year and they're after everything. So make sure you're reading those down. Make sure you're measuring your load. We've issued every flatbed driver a height pole. If you have not received one, we have them at our terminal, and it comes with a small orientation bit where you get taught how to properly use it, because even though they're not overly complicated, they're still best practice to do with in storing them and keeping them. But so we're focused on making sure every load is measured and the height's proper, making sure we're reading our permits, making sure that we're doing those inner pre-trip stops, or those inner trip stops, I guess is the best way to call it. You're coming up to a scale, it's been a bit, couple hours, 3 hours, get out, pull over on that off ramp, check your lights, make sure everything is good. You don't want to get pulled into a scale and all you had to do was wiggle your light plug to get your lights on, and then you get put out of service. Those are the things that those hurt when you see those type of ones.
Yeah. Another thing I don't think a lot of people are very familiar with, say if they're used to running down south, but if you're running in this inclement weather and you are loaded and close to 80,000 pounds, and now you just ran 500 miles in snow and ice, you very well could have picked up 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of snow and ice, and now you're illegal on your weight. So we got to watch that. And if you're close and you start seeing lots of snow buildup and ice buildup on the frame of that trailer, you had better probably stop and weigh yourself at a CAT scale before you go across the next state scale, because
before you go and top off your tanks and then add that weight right back. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into this game, and you're right. The weather, snow, ice, that plays a big, even when you go to load. Hey, we got a load that we know you can haul, but you've trekked through some empty snow, ice. You might have to hit a truck wash before you can go load to make sure that you're at weight to haul that, or vice versa. Like you said, when you're loaded, yes, being vigilant, paying attention to that, stopping and checking, making sure everything's going, making sure your taillights aren't covered with snow or ice. I mean, that doesn't take very long, and all of a sudden you got 6 inches little on the back of your trailer of snow and you can't see your stoplights. So it might not affect you and what you see forward and in front of you, but it is going to be an issue for somebody else behind you, especially if it's dark. So paying attention to that, understanding what's going on, watching your speed. It's been a year now since we've had Motive. We're doing a great job. Our unsafe driving we're heading in the direction we want, and I'm never going to say we're there, because our goal is to be as safe as possible. But remember, like I said, it's a new year, and those DOT are watching. They're looking for.
They're out there.
Well, they're especially out there. I feel like we've had a lot of DOTs, fortunately a lot of good ones, but we've had a lot of DOTs in just the first half of this month. It's kind of crazy.
New year. So like you said, I mean, they're probably changing. Hey guys, it's new year. Let's track them, DOT them, and see what's out there.
Cold air comes with tire pressures decreasing. So making sure that your tires are properly inflated, because the DOT once again is looking for that. They have thermal guns. They're telling when your tires are extremely hot versus your other tires, so they can tell when you're running a low pressure tire. Use the loves and get the tire pass if possible. If not, get it done at our shop. One way or another, we want to get your tires checked. Making sure that there's no air leaks and antifreeze leaks and those type of things that happen when it's cold. Your truck sits overnight, everything shrinks and tightens, then all of a sudden you get a drip. Making sure those are handled. Sometimes you just got to warm your truck up, and believe it or not, it reseats and you're good to go.
Even in Duluth, we have the express bay out there, but at the same time, we've had some different changes within our shop, and I want to express to people to call into fleet, say I'm either here, I'm in the yard, I'd like to get my tires checked and everything inspected, or call when you're coming in. I've seen a lot of things that fleet has even adjusted between them and the shops to where they've been very accommodating, and it wasn't, okay, we'll get to you 2 days from now. And that's everybody's goal, is to be able to put our hands on those trucks. So please, if for whatever reason you didn't hear what you wanted, or it wasn't in a timely manner, try it again, because I have all the faith that they can get to our trucks in a timely manner and check those. There's nothing wrong with calling and saying, hey, I'm here, I have this, can I get my tire pressures checked and everything inspected?
A grease job, you make sure, we're going through that phase the new year brings with your IFTA stickers, and making sure that all that is applied. Won't be long, and we'll be dealing with license plate tabs. All of that comes, and so just getting in that habit of let's take advantage of it. Run me through the shop. Let's get a grease. Let's get our tire pressures checked. Let's make sure everything looks good. And yeah, like you said, that's just the benefit. It all comes down to the more you take care of your truck, the more it's going to take care of you.
Yep.
You don't want to be stuck on the side of the road. You don't want to be stuck in a DOT scale shack and they're, writing you up one side and down the other. Nope. So yeah, just that's what I wanted to go through as we close on this episode is, we're excited, but let's not let the optimism knock us off our game. You still got to be disciplined and really focused, especially in this beginning part of the year, because the DOT are setting quotas. I don't know what it is, but we've seen an influx of just inspections overall. So pay attention to all the little things, closing your axles, Florida, Connecticut, those type of things. Call in if you have questions. There's more than enough people to help. If somebody doesn't know the answer, they'll make sure to get to one of us or somebody that can answer that. So we're all eager to help. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from what 2025 has brought, is like you said, a lot of people wanted to put 2024 to bed, not just because of the industry and not everybody thinks about trucking, but it seemed like 2024 was tough for many people just overall. And they're eager to see what this year brings. We're eager to deliver on this year. We know it's going to be good. We're structuring for that, and we're just excited.
Yeah, no, it's exciting, and obviously all the changes we've made is kind of in what we call the lull of flatbed time anyway in the winter, to get ourselves adjusted and dialed in, so when things do pick up and we're in the busy season, we're running full stride.
Project Freight is here and everything is moving like it should. So very excited. Anything you want to close with that you can think of for reminding our drivers? And
one thing I want to remind, as far as parking at the main terminal, especially in front of Building 3 and out back of Building 3, we've had some changes. I'm now kind of running all over the place, but I'm back over in this office and working. And I'm going to tell you first thing, I'm a trailer cop. If I see trailers dropped in this yard, they're getting hauled out of here, whether you're getting service or not. It's not because I'm picking on anybody, but we have limited parking at this main terminal, and we have a drop yard down the road where trailers belong. If you have a trailer that has your gear on it and it's a trailer that you're pulling, you can still drop it up there and go in the office and talk to them and let them know the trailer number, so we can make sure people don't take that trailer. But we have limited room for parking, especially in the wintertime. A lot of these parking spots have plugins in them for some of the local trucks that don't have APUs on them. And when people are dropping trailers in these parking spots, it's hurting us because we can't park those trucks. So if you come out and your trailer's gone, one of our local guys was informed to go pick it up and move it back to the trailer yard and put it where it belongs. So nobody's picking on anybody. We're not trying to create problems, but at the same time, we also have a very limited parking spots out front of Building 3. And there's many times I'll pull in where the driver's lounge is and the whole yard's full of drop trailers in front. Well, that's where guys like to pull in quick, grab a cup of coffee, drop some paperwork off, and there's no room for anybody to park. It's all drop trailers. So I can't reiterate it enough to please drop your trailers in the drop yard. If it's a trailer that you want to keep, just pull in there, go into the office, talk to them first. They'll instruct you where to drop it, where it can be safe, and leave your gear on it, and bobtail up here and do your stuff.
Yep. Well, and that's a good point to touch on. Building 3, like you said, you've moved back into your office most of the time. You know, you're all over the properties. Melissa, so HR and payroll, have also moved into building 3 upstairs. That's a change from building 1, where they were near the heavy haul side. So a couple of restructuring, and the main reason for all this is alignment. Like I said, we're kicking 2025 off with a laser focused mindset, and we wanted to make sure that we have all the minds together to help keep guiding this ship to be prepared for this 2025 and prepared to capitalize on every opportunity that comes our way and setting our drivers up for success. So make sure dropping trailers in the drop yard where they belong, making sure parking is figured out, because now you're in that snow season. You got to be able to plow and get all of that done.
That too.
So making sure you don't just park and call, go home for the weekend or this or that, or drop something in the middle, like you said, so we can get that done. Good deal. Well, lots of exciting things. I want to just make sure and remind all listeners, if you have anything that you would like us to talk about, anything you want us to unpack, please comment, subscribe, call us, text us, email us, podcast@kivibros.com. There's a multitude of ways to get in touch with us. But until next time, happy trucking.
Happy trucking.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Keep Trucking Personal. We appreciate you taking the time to explore the heart and soul of Kivi Brothers Trucking with us. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review to let us know your thoughts. Tune in next time as we continue our journey together, diving deeper into what makes us a community, a catalyst for positive change, and a home for those who aspire to be part of something truly extraordinary. Until then, keep trucking, and we'll catch you on the next episode.